hello, everybody out there this evening, and welcome to Doppler's Gear Garage. All right, more modal madness. So, what exactly does that entail? Well, holy cow. Oh, that's interesting. That audio seems to be coming through only in mono. That is not the desired result. Let's see if we can fix that little bit right there. Why are you doing that? Okay, well, in any case, while I am doing a little bit of fixing, looking at my metering here, we're going to be doing a little bit of talking. We're on the left side, so I'm going to mirror that. Not live on Doppler's Gear Garage Facebook.
No, it's live on Doppler's Gear Garage, not DD.
Okay, hang on a second. That is my technical support telling me that we are. There we go. All right, so we are just... Tonight, what we're going to be talking about is the idea of being able to map shred up and down the neck. We're also going to be talking about the idea of getting some stereo audio feed. There was a little bit of a shenanigan. No, testing, 1, 2. All right, I see what's going on there. Okay, so I need to take a second one of you, and we're going to take you over to there, and testing, 1, 2. That should now give us stereo audio feed into there. There we go. All right, good. All right, hey, so modal madness, holy cow. So a minute ago, I was playing over this chord progression from a few years back from when I released a CD called New Instrumental. And that was a song called Wicked, and it's got a bunch of changes all the heck over the place. And as I was kind of going over stuff today to go over with you, I was like, hey, you know what? I think I want to pick this track, and so I kind of went through a couple of different things and found some different sections in the song, and there's a lot of mode changes, and what's interesting about this particular piece of material as we're talking about tonight is that back then I looked at music very differently, so it was very interesting to come back to the same piece of music, but if you will, with new eyes. And so that for us is going to be the ability to take a journey together, and that is so incredibly exciting. So here's the deal. The basic vibe of what's going on here is, let's see if I can do this without blowing out the mic. So I'm going to mute it here. But basically, it's going to be an F sharp to a D, to a D sharp, to a D, and I'm going to play that with the mic. And then we had that kind of, what the heck is that's an A over C sharp. So that's basically like, kind of like an A major in first inversion. In fact, that is what it is. So in any case, there's some interesting things happening. That piece of material was originally done on a 7-string. And so I'm kind of renegotiate that on the 6-string. But the point being is the changes, it's a very typical way I would approach playing through a mode change where I've got this little bass note movement that is allowing us to kind of set up how we're going to approach what we're doing. So, first of all, let me just jump into the chat here and see how everybody is doing. Andreas, I still owe you an email. Good evening. Mike Rand, hello. Michael Mitchell, what's going on, man? What's happening, man? Great to see you. And Chris Starko, yes, stereo is a wonderful thing. And I can even foot switch it. Well, I guess it's stereo, whether it's foot switched on or off, you just can't hear it. Awesome, awesome. Well, Chris Stark, always a pleasure, always a pleasure. Getting over to the vibe of the Book of Face. Richard Doyle, how are you? Sergio, how are you? Good to see you. And let's see here. And who have you got over here? Oh, I got a double. I see what happened there. Okay, good, good, good. Well, first of all, thank you for everybody that's there. I'll be seeing some chat coming in. First of all, if anybody has any questions about modes in general, is because we're going to kind of, tonight we're going to go fast. But I don't want to lose anybody. Joe, what's going on? How you doing there? So, all right, let's see here. So we're there, and I want to jump over to here, and I know that means that browser is going to open up in just a moment. So in any case, it's amazing. No matter how much I go out of my way to keep things quiet on Facebook, it always wants to open up that other browser window. And tonight we're going to go fast. But the moment you open up that window, that's what it starts doing. In any case, first of all, Brett, great to see you again. Richard, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, my friend. Compliments are always appreciated. Joel Hellman, how is the king of the Les Paul in Los Angeles doing? Sonny, what's happening, my friend? Long time no see. I've got the Ibanez sporting here tonight. All right. So again, questions are absolutely welcomed and encouraged. We're just going to be kind of grooving along. So as I was mentioning before, this little groove that I was playing is a mode changing progression. And so this whole mode changing business is one of my favorite things because it allows me to kind of Les Paul in Los Angeles doing Sonny, what every time you open up a new window. In any case, the idea of being able to hear a bass note and then to hear how the other notes that are played against it affect what mode or modes it can be is kind of the moral of the story here. So I'm going to move to the key of G major for a quick moment and talk my way through of kind of how this looks and is. All right, first of all, if I'm in the key of G major and I turn the guitar back up to a volume that's, there we go, that should be good. So the deal is if I were to take the delay and turn the delay off so it's not making all of that business right there, that's more like it. So the deal is if I were to take the notes of the G major scale, G, A, which are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G, and then I were to kind of take the notes of the relative Dorian mode, which we talked about last week. The Dorian is simply starting some major scale off of its second note. So for the key of G major, we just jump up to that A note. Instead of going G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, we'd go A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. But if I drag that puppy down to A and played it over the top of the major scale, in other words, if I had this guy and had this guy superimposed over the top, the first two notes are the same. Third note of the major scale is there. Third note of the Dorian scale is there. Fourth note is the same. Fifth note is the same. Sixth note is the same. Seventh note of the major scale is there. Seventh note of the Dorian mode is there. So compared to the major scale, the Dorian mode's got a flat 3 and flat 7. So that means that if I kind of had some chord progression that kind of went 1, 3, 7, let's make really stupidly obvious, and then 1, flat 3, flat 7, purely kind of from a bass note approach alone, I would be outlining the differences between major and Dorian. Now, I'm not saying it's going to sound great. I'm not saying it's going to sound bad. It's just going to sound. So let's take... And that is the essence of what it's all about. Because when you hear the sound of the modes, you can just jump in and modalize. So that is kind of like a, potentially for some, kind of like some expert chef going, you just, go into the kitchen and you do that. I do not pretend to be an expert chef. I've just spent a bunch of time working on this, so I've gotten comfortable with kind of being able to think about it, talk about it, and hear it, and then kind of be able to apply it on the guitar. So what was neat there is our little modal progression. Once I kind of got a little vibe. Oh, I got the mic up. Hang on. Muting the mic. Come here. You over there. We go. All right. Now, kind of what I fell into there was the ability to learn to think about what's going on here, because as you're analyzing this, if you think about the major scale of the Dorian mode, as I kind of walked through, we were at G major, we took A Dorian and then we marched A Dorian down a whole step. Basically, if you think about the relationship between major and Dorian, they are normally a whole step apart. Which means when you're playing them over a common root, essentially, you can start, in this particular case, with G major, and then slide that down a whole step, which would be F major, and the relative Dorian mode is going to be G. So that is to say, you can start with G major. And just move that puppy down. Now, what I was doing up here was something along the lines of that, where I had, if you will, if I were playing off the 6th string, C Lydian 3-note per string mode, and just kind of moving that. That little business down, up and down a whole step. So that's one of the things you can do where you kind of begin to employ these different types of modal techniques. Now, I realize, okay, hang on. I got a question here. I love it. First of all, I've seen a couple new people have jumped on. Eric, good to see you. Chris Alexander, how are you? So Andreas, am I using common tones to switch between modes in that situation when the root stays the same? Yes, and sort of. So that is to say, as I outlined that at the beginning, that's exactly what I was doing. So I was going, hey, you know what? What's the same between G major? And what's different between G major and G Dorian? What's going on, G-Man? Hey, so the deal is, essentially it means that those notes in common don't have to change. In fact, they should not change. So we're really paying attention to which notes are changing. That said, when I did this little parallel movement here, I literally was taking okay, if this guy right here, let me back up one step again. It's not the greatest rhythm tone in the world, so I apologize. I know it's a little muddy. So I am intending to go 1 1 3 1 7 1 1 3 1 7 1 7. All right, so that's the basic riff. So I'm purposely outlining the differences between the major scale and the Dorian mode. All right, so at that location, everything that's the same, I'm seeing as the same. So that is to say pattern recognition. So these notes right here are the same, so those don't change. So the difference is major has and this, and Dorian's got this. So again, the common notes are the 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, and the notes that change are the 3 and the 7, changing to a flat 3 and a flat 7. So again, hang out at, if you will, seeing them in a pitch axis kind of way, where we're playing them over the common root, which is the whole goal here. That's what's happening. But one of the things is I walk up the neck and I think about G major. I can go G major, A Dorian, B Phrygian, C Lydian. And then as I think about that G major changing to a G Dorian, that kind of allows me to go G Dorian, A Phrygian, B flat Lydian, and C mixed Lydian. So the deal, though, is a moment ago I had C Lydian and I had a B flat Lydian when we switched to G Dorian. Again, when we were in G major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian at C. When we're in G Dorian, Dorian, Phrygian at A, Lydian at B flat. So I can do this thing. And I can just toggle between. Not the greatest tone in the world, but you get the idea. So basically there, I'm doing a combination of the two. So I'm in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D, F sharp, and G. And I'm switching to G Dorian, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Knowing the note names is really, really, really important for this business. So I'm basically going D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. And then I'm going D, E, F, G, A, B flat. So I'm going to pick the first three spots. Let me just check my levels here and make sure I'm not peaking. Okay, good. So D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. D, E, F, G, A, B flat. So that gives me the ability to go, okay, well, let me pick a spot and take G, A, and B and add the F sharp. And there I kind of rode that change down a whole step, right? So it's kind of like, oh, we're just moving when the relative major moves. That is to say, we were playing in G major. When it changed to A Dorian, that really meant the relative major was F major. Now, I'm not thinking literally, oh, I'm in F now. Not doing that. But it allows me to kind of go, hey, if I'm playing these notes here and it's relative to G major, then I'm just playing those notes that are relative to F major. And that allows us to kind of just leapfrog those puppies back and forth, and it's a good way to think about it. Then when I start to think about... Oh, let's try that again. There, I'm literally thinking about switching between the two modes there at the common root. That is to say D, E, F sharp, E, F sharp, and G, F sharp, G, and A. I think I might have called, I might have called that note wrong a minute ago, so I apologize for that. But the idea. Then we switch into G Dorian. I'm thinking of it as G Dorian. And that allows me to think of that as the note names. Again, that's D, E, and F, E, F, and G, F, G, and A, E, F, and G. E, F, and G, dude. And that little change there allows us to kind of bring that into one spot. And those are two totally legitimate approaches. And ideally what we start doing as we play over this kind of changes is that we're looking for little opportunities to run into stuff. So the neat thing about kind of what we ended up going into was I literally hadn't planned on playing this little change. I actually really love the sound of this. And the neat thing is that it's taking, honestly, I have to thank John Petrucci and all the John Petrucci Guitar Universe people, because it was literally going into that camp that I kind of went, you know, I've been kind of resting on my laurels doing the same stuff, teaching the same curriculum for way too long, and I just kind of went, I have to get back to the guy that I was when I was 17, when I was just like, and like, it was all about discovery. And so the neat thing is you're kind of watching that part of my playing, which is my favorite part. And I don't mind if I make a couple of mistakes and, you know, do all of that, because the goal is to hopefully inspire you to go, oh, snap. You know, what are some of the ways that we can do this? And so literally, you know, again, the chord progression. 1 1 3 1 7 1 1 3 1 7 1 7 1 1 flat 3 1 flat 7 1 1 flat 3 1 flat 7 1 flat 7, and just record it. And as a matter of fact, I make a promise to you, I'll record it and I'll put it up, and so you know you guys can have at it. But the neat thing is then what you begin to do is you start improvising around those changes and you start discovering stuff. So again, you know, what was neat is because of the way this coincidentally happened to be, like, I'll switch from major to Dorian. in so doing, I had this thing that enabled me to take that C Lydian thing and just move it down to B flat Lydian. So that kind of back and forth and back and forth. The tonal center is staying at a common tonal center. The modes are changing against it. But what I'm doing is by sliding that idea back and forth, it's kind of, it's a free ride actually, because you're not having to actually go, oh, you know, what notes have changed? Like, you know, this business is a lot harder because you actually have to know what the heck you're doing. Here I can just kind of go. But the neat thing about getting used to is when you play the scale in that linear sort of approach, you then begin to hear the sound of it. And you begin to hear the sound of the change, which is awesome. Because here's the thing, it says like literally just in the same way. Oh, come on. Oh, I've got the mic up. All right, in any case, let's bypass all the goodness. So let me see if there are any questions. So Modal and Hair Madness, that's right. My buddy Bruce Adolph, can you please stop speeding upon the video feed, make it look like you're playing faster than I am. I am messing with the frame rate. All right, so let's see. Hang on. Let me get into this application. I should be seeing my chat spill in here. Where is my chat? Hello. Where is the rest of my chat? All right. Well, some of it's feeding through and some of it is not. So we just jump in over here. All right. Larry Mitchell. Oh, my friend, you sounded so amazing on that Eric Johnson happy birthday thing. Like, seriously, just owning it. But you always own it. And I would love to have you on this show. Like, just I was thinking about you today. So there. Mark, how are you? Good to see you. Eric Sands, I was talking about you just the other day, and of course speaking and singing your praises. And what was the 19th, 20th, and 28th you just played? Larry, I adore you. I mean, so let's just sing Larry Mitchell's praises. Hey, we got to find out when Larry's birthday is, right? So, gosh, what a great player. What a great player. So, we're talking about changing the most with great pleasure, Larry. All right, we'll make that happen. That's awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for dropping in. So, all right, so it doesn't look like anybody is kind of going, oh, you've bruised my brain. Hello, Gib Green, how are you? Really opens the fretboard and not locking you into positions or patterns exactly. Okay, all right. Can you hear the Satriani influence? You think. All right, so here's the dealio. This little guy here, then you begin to start, the whole point to this is to be able to hear the sound. Let's see if I can do this slowly. I'm going to mute the mic here, and again, I'm going to play through the change. hopefully, there we go, with a little bit more musicality. All right, there's one thing that happened in there a second ago. Where I was basically outlining the mode change right there at the 7. Shush. The 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the flat 7, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, and 5. And that little spot there is, again, the pitch axis dealer. All right. The cheater, I slipped into minor there, and I actually heard that I was switching between major and minor. And I know Larry Mitchell heard that because he was like, he moved out of Dorian there. So, but the thing is that, here's the thing. It's like, I'm not trying to make every note perfect. And the goal is I'm just trying to find something. And I'm actually totally okay with, like, live without a net. That's one of my favorite things about streaming. It's just like, this little guy was like, okay, let's see what happens. And sometimes in the midst of seeing what happens, you just bump into the wall and you go, oh, okay, well, that didn't work. But the thing is, I did, there was some idea in there that I liked. And this is the whole thing is that most guitar players, the biggest problem that we've got is we just play the same crap over and over and over. And we're like, gee, I wonder why I'm not inspired. And then we go back and play the same crap over and over. I would much rather make some farty noises in the midst of trying to find that thing and then finding it, right? So I don't remember exactly what it was that it, right. No, it was a 7 arpeggio dealie. So then we start thinking about these different things, and I want to have a little micro conversation tagging on to what we talked about last week. Which was the idea of, if you take the modes, major scale started off of each of its 7 notes, that's where the modes come from. If you start the major scale off of its second note, Dorian. Off the third note, Phrygian. fourth note Lydian, so on and so forth. And if you were to take the first, third, and fifth of each of those modes, that's where the chords come from. Now, a lot of people like to think of 7 chords as fill in the blank triad with the 7th added, blah, blah, blah. That gives us a major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5, and major 7 is based on 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 5, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 5, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 5, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 5, 3, flat 5, flat 7, and 1, 3, 5, 7, which is again comparing each of those modes to the major scale. What's the same? What's different? All the modes have a natural 5, except for Locrian, which is why that one's got this really bizarre diminished triad going on. But it actually makes sense in the midst of all this. So the point being is that rather than thinking, oh, there's a major triad with a natural 7 and a minor triad with a flat 7, it is, and that is one of the ways you can think about it. But when you start adding the 9 and other things in there, all of a sudden it's like it's a major triad with a 7 and the 9, and it gets confusing as opposed to going, it's a 1, 3, 5, 7, and we're playing a 2 an octave up. That's really easy because I know what all the pieces are. And more importantly, what it enables me to begin to do is get a little bit flexible with the pieces and move them around. That is to say, if I'm thinking about 1, 3, 5, 7, voiced 1, 7, 3, we're going to leave the 5 out for just a minute. And I do this business. And I will add some of the pretty sweet delay in. And why don't I have any verb going? That's really weird. All right, if I add, here's my 1, 7, 3. And there's a 1, and then I'm going to, instead of playing the 7, I'm going to play the 1, 6, 3. And I'm going to go up to the Dorian, and instead of going 1, flat 7, flat 3, I'm going to go 1, 6, flat 3, and 1, flat 7, flat 3, flat 6 there. By kind of getting untangled from, oh, it's a major triad with this type of 7, you're able to just think about what you want. And again, a 1, 6, 3, 1, 6, flat 3, 1, flat 6, flat 3, 1, 6, 3, and that gives you and so on and so forth. So that gives us an approach for being able to look at John Carlo Miranda. How you doing, my friend? Okay, so now that we've kind of looked at kind of opening that stuff up, I think it gives us some different perspectives. So let's take a look at, see if there are some other questions here. First of all, thanks for everybody for jumping. Peter Carr, Fat Apples, yes you are. Hopefully not waiting for your lesson too long. John Smart, hello. Good to see you, my man. Awesome. Hi. That's great. Brian Felix, hello, my friend. Okay. So, Sean, what's happening? It's 2:30 in the morning in the UK. But thanks so much, my friend. Really appreciate it. Dorian Mode, Dorian Gray, Larry, thanks so much. You are my dearest friend. Kirsten, how are you? Great to see you. And Dylan, hopefully, is somewhere in the midst of all of that as well. Okay. Oh, boy, look at all this. Alec, how is the MIDI mad science? Dude, aren't you, like, at work right now or asleep or something? And it is great to see you. All right, so now that said, I'm going to jump over to this other chord progression that was actually what I'd kind of had baked already. And it's basically, again, doing this thing that's a little bit of a... It's outlining now kind of the same thing that I wanted to show you, which I did kind of down at G, is we're just kind of looking at the individual notes and how the notes versus the chords impact what's happening modally. So in this particular case, we've basically got the tonic, which I'm going to see as kind of initially as a minor type chord, which means I could, in theory, play Dorian, Phrygian, or minor over the top of it. I'm actually going to play minor pentatonic and would then in turn kind of play the minor scale over the top, because that's kind of what I'm going for with this. Then it basically goes down to the flat 6 of that key, which if, you know, again, if you know your modes, it's going to be basically the modes that have a flat 6 are, that's right, the Phrygian, minor, and Locrian. So we're going to stay basically outlining the vibe of the minor scale. Then it goes to a natural 6, and then, you know, kind of keeping the idea that it's still got its miteredness. That's where it kind of, that is to say, miteredness in terms of the quality of the triad at the tonal center. That natural 6 now means we moved up into Dorian. Then it goes back into the flat 6, and then it kind of moves down to kind of the 5 of the tonic. But really what's happening is it's outlining this A major triad in first inversion. That is to say, it sounds like this. And in so doing, I'm basically seeing this as a 6 chord, 4 chord, 7 chord, literally not a dominant 7 chord, as in 2, 1, 7, back to a 4 chord, to a 3 chord, and we're back in here. So let's see if I can pull up the track. first and foremost, if you can, get used to playing the minor pentatonic in 3-note per string pattern. And that works with both hands. And what's neat about this type of change, since everything's kind of falling within a minor type key, you can play the minor pentatonic over the whole thing. So quite often in a change like this, I actually will wait until that first chord moves down to a chord that defines the mode change. As in that change right there to basically brought us into F sharp minor. And then when it goes to that next chord, that's going to bring us into F sharp Dorian. So basically what that is the difference of is instead of going F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, it just ends up being F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, and F sharp. So it's literally just one note that's different. That D becomes a D sharp. How about with the mic on? I'm going to go up and down, just switching between F sharp minor and F sharp Dorian. So the moral of the story is, if you can remember one note, in the midst of all of that, you can basically, everything else stays the same. Back to Andreas's point is like, it's not changing, right? So just hanging out and finding the ones that are the same and the ones that are different, that's what you got to pay attention to. And so the moral of the story is that if you're able to go, okay, well, let me just take the F sharp minor scale, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, and F sharp, and then the Dorian mode, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, and F sharp. So the only difference is going to be this D changing to this D sharp. So it means you can just be kind of motoring along, and then when that change comes, you just have to navigate between that D and the D sharp. So that's where picking the one note or the couple of notes that are going to outline the change becomes important. Let me bring up the music here, and again, I will make a special point of outlining when it's in minor playing that D, when it goes to Dorian playing that D sharp. So you'll see me kind of hanging out here. Again, that's going to be the difference between the 10th and the 11th fret. Let's see how we do. All right, so what happened there was, now I'm kind of getting comfortable with thinking about it in terms of how I'm hearing it. So that is to say, I'm hearing this little business down here. And I'm also hearing it up here. And then bringing that down here, there's that D sharp and there's that D, which is why knowing the note names becomes really valuable. So then, what's interesting is you can hear this sequence happening. right, that little business there at the end was all about then kind of going, oh, okay, I can hear this guy here and I can hear this guy there. And it's now being able to kind of go, I can anticipate where it's going to sound on the top. And so, and again, I don't mind bumping into a couple of walls here in the process of figuring it out, but kind of once you kind of go, I got the scent, oh, there it is, and you chase after it. Honestly, that's the kind of playing that I think we all want to get to. And I think, honestly, you know, I had this great teacher that kind of taught me how to think about music that way, that it gave me the vehicle to kind of be able to on-ramp that. So let me just hop in and see if there are any questions here. Let's see here. I'm not going to necessarily get to harmonic minor tonight, but you never know. Good to see you, my friend. Great to see you, actually. Phenomenal to see you. Gary Whiteside's what's going on. What's up? Josh Nevis, the Thunder, my man from New York City. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Robert, hello. Landon, hello. Robbie, hello. Michael, hello. You can go fashion. I need to keep practicing. That's obviously it. Ralph, hello. Mark, Eric, Martin Bureau, hello, my friend. Bill, hello. Michael, Mike, Mong, what's going on, my man? How are you? Great to see you, or see you, kind of seeing you. Jason, hello. Franco, pleasure. Hello to you. Chad, hello, Mr. Vollman. All right, so who got some questions? And so let's see here. Hang on a second. Let me be an equal opportunity employer. All right, so reading, hold on. Let's pull this into here so everybody can see this. Let's see. We should be able to grab you. Where be the chat? I've done a little bit of updating here, and it's made, where is my chat widget? Give me my chat widget. Window. Where is my chat widget? Gosh darn it. All right, well, I'm done looking for my chat widget, which is temporarily hidden. All right, so I'm just going to have to just get back to original reading. All right, Ivo Ivanev, how are you, my friend? All right, Doug, last time you explained about sharps and flats in the modes. Could you maybe explain why we write E sharp in F sharp harmonic minor? Okay, great question. Great. I will absolutely do that. All right, so this is the weird thing about certain keys, and this is the dealio, is the rule that you get to when you know you've got, first of all, and this was an interesting thing about mode mapping F sharp minor, is that F sharp minor is not a modal variant of F sharp major. It's a modal variant of G flat major. Which was one of the interesting things. So you brought up a really good point. So let's see if I can just kind of make this orderly and sensical for everybody. If I were to take the major scale, it's got a very specific little order of 2 whole steps and a half step, 1, 2, 3 whole steps and a half step. And in a little bit, we're going to talk about the modal implications of moving that around. That is to say, actually, I'm going to go there now. This is going to be really cool. All right. I had mentioned in the kind of little primer, little video thing. First of all, thanks again for everybody hanging out. This is going to be a lot of fun. The idea of basically taking the major scale in any of the modes and playing them in a linear sense. So let's just imagine that we know the modes well enough to go major 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dorian's got a flat 3 and a flat 7. Actually, we're going to use that as our example. So if we think about the major scale, there's the 3rd note, and there's the 7th note, which are G, A, B, and a flat 3 becomes B flat, and G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp becomes F. So our B becomes a B flat, and our F sharp becomes an F. So I'm gonna go up and down major and up and down Dorian. All right, there it was pretty easy to see why we went G, A, B, and G, A, B flat. Makes sense. All right, so getting back to this mode change that we were playing over a minute ago, it's in the key of F sharp minor. At least it starts off there. So that's F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, and F sharp, which are the 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. Okay? Now, the interesting thing is that if I take that same starting note, and there were no double flats or double sharps, so that's how you kind of know we picked the right note. If I did it for G flat, that would be G flat, A flat, B double flat. So we know we're out of there as soon as we get that. That is to say, if we call that G flat, and this one A flat, the next note is a half step up from there. B would be the next note sequentially. That is to say, it's some sort of G, some sort of A, some sort of B. Well, when we follow this sequence right here, that would give us a B double flat. So we're out of there. So we know it has to be F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, and F sharp. Okay. Now that said, if I go to start the major scale off of F sharp, I end up with F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, hang on, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, G sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and F sharp. We can do that. I must have, oh, right, because it went, hold on just one second, right? F sharp, G. No, even with the Dorian still fits. I was just totally wrong. So we can keep it there and it's fine. So we can switch. We can think of this as the F sharp major scale: F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and F sharp. Now it's a little strange to have an E sharp and an F sharp, but we don't have any double sharps or double flats. So if we think about the minor scale having a flat 3, so instead of going F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, we're just going to go F sharp, G sharp, A, then B, C sharp. Instead of D sharp, we play a D, E, and an F sharp, and that gives us that F sharp minor scale. So the idea, and switching between F sharp major and F sharp minor. So let me find a good key like, there it is. Okay. All right. If we start with here and we call it A sharp, hold the B sharp, hold the C double sharp. So that's where we know we're in trouble. That is to say, if I'm playing the major scale at the 6th fret, I start off and I can either call that note on its own A sharp or B flat. So if we call it A sharp, it's going to be a whole step to B sharp, still legitimate. But then we got to go another whole step, and that's going to end up being a C double sharp. So we know that can't be A sharp. That's B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. So that's an example of kind of how and why and where when we have to choose which key we're going to use as our starting note. I didn't explain that very well, but that was a good example of why it can't be A sharp. You end up with a double sharp, a C double sharp, and that ain't going to work. Now, in terms of this harmonic minor deal, if you take the minor scale, so let's pick a key. All right, a couple little clunkers in there, but the idea is we're basically taking the E minor scale, and instead of playing a D, we're playing a D sharp. And so it basically means, compared to the major scale, the minor scale is a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1. In this particular case, it becomes a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, 7, 1. And that's going to give us this D sharp here. Now, you were asking about the E sharp in the... okay, so the deal is, let me find a key that's... read your question again. Maybe you can explain why we write E sharp in F sharp major harmonic minor or D sharp minor. Gosh darn it. I'm not seeing that line up in that key, but here's the deal. Basically what happens is that the harmonic minor scale just takes the flat 7 of the minor scale and makes it natural. So if I'm trying to find one of the wacky keys and I'm not finding one immediately. So the point being is that what's happening is the minor scale so the flat 7 becomes a natural 7. So what's strange about this for some folks is that the minor scale is going 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 1, but the notes are going E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D sharp, and E when we have basically that little harmonic minor dealio going on. That keeps the alphabetical order and the notes intact. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, wait a second. The E sharp. All right, so you're talking F sharp major harmonic minor. F sharp. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, what I meant is that in F sharp, E is the 7th note. Right. Okay, got it. Okay, sorry, I was like, right. So if we're playing it F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. It's just one of those wacky things. So if we think about just 1, hold the 2, hold the 3, half to 4, hold the 5, hold the 6, hold the 7, half to 1. F sharp, hold the G sharp, hold the A sharp, half to B, hold the C sharp, hold the D sharp, hold the E sharp, half to F sharp. Yes, it's just wacky, but it works. Yes. As a matter of fact, that's where we were. We were in F sharp. Holy cow. Okay, yes, it's at least regarding diatonic scales. Yes, and yes. Holy cow. All right. Mark Swanson, good to see you, my man. Gogu? I probably just totally mispronounced your name, but hugs to you, sir, in spite of the fact that I just destroyed your name. Bill Stapleton, how are you? I've missed a bunch, but thanks again. With great pleasure. Welcome, Justin. David McLean, how you doing, my man? Skinny guy? All right. First video to watch, brother. Sounds great. Thanks so much. What's the best approach to learn and play outside the box? Okay. Let me just say hello to everybody. Hello, Heinz from the Philippines. Shout out to you, my friend. Let's see. And Alex, hello. Jadon, hello to you. Greetings to India. Pleasure. I think you're the farthest away, at least tonight. Steve Hembry, how are you, my friend? Is everything cool with the fire up there? I love you, my brother. You know that. Robert, hello. Thomas, hello. Hey. Landon, hello to you. And Robbie, how you doing? Michael, great. Okay. All right. So the deal is, all right. We're talking about this kind of this linear speed thing, and this is one of my favorite dealios. Fachin from Peru. My Spanish is terrible, but hola, ¿cómo está? Bienvenidos. James Knox, how you doing, my man? Good to see you. All right, so here's the thing. As we work on this linear sense of the stuff, that's one of the great things about working on the high E string. If you're wanting to build your speed at all, the high E string is the perfect place to do it. Why? Because you can use the tip of your first finger to touch up against the second string, and the thumb's going to be down here, so we've got that extension. Here's the deal. Nothing wrong with that thumb being around the top of the neck, but when we want to have that loose extension there, having that thumb down really just keeps the hand nice and loose, right? Ramiro, how are you, my friend? TKA, how you doing? So the deal is having the thumb down. Allows us to have the thumb follow the hand like that. Now, as we're on the high E string, what we're going to do is we're going to move down to the key of E major for a minute. Now, in so doing, we're going to think about 1, hold the 2, hold the 3, half to 4, hold the 5, hold the 6, hold the 7, half to 1. And matter of fact, I'm going to go to the octave of. Now, what we're going to think about is the do re mo's got a flat 3, and it's got a flat 7. And the Phrygian mode's got a flat 2, 3, 6, and 7. Oh, sorry, F natural. And Lydian's got a sharp 4. And Mixolydian's got a flat 7. Minor's got a flat 3, 6, and 7. That is flat 3, 6, and 7. Locomotive's got a flat 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. All right, now, with that said, I want to point out one of the most important things. Romero, put on your seatbelt. This is for you, my friends. One of the great things about being able to play really fast as you move from string to string and being able to hear kind of what's going on, hearing the whole steps and the half steps, is having this one, this is the one big giant kind of like dealio. The major scale, 2 holes and a half, 3 holes and a half. There's a double, which is that first 2 whole steps. And there's a double-double that happens, this pair of whole steps and this pair of whole steps. I'm in the key of G for a minute. So we go 1, hold the 2, hold the 3. That's our first double. Then we have the half step. Here's our next double. And it's got another double right there. That's what I call a double-double. That double-double only happens at one spot. So if you can track where that double-double is, it's everything about fast linear playing. Everything. So here's the deal. If we're thinking about the major scale, the double-double happens between the 4, 5, 6, and 5, 6, and 7. So as you potentially just run up doing these groups of 3 notes, which I would suggest doing, just starting with a downstroke, consistently alternate picking, I would strongly suggest, as opposed to going 1, 3, 4, most of us are not like 6'6" like Paul Gilbert and have the stretch he's gotten. Basically what Joe taught his students to do was extend the first finger out as opposed to extending the pinky out. I would strongly suggest using basically this classical hand position and extending the first finger out. That's why. Thanks for the hearts, whoever that was. All right, so the deal is that when it's basically a double, it's stretch 1, 2, 4. When it's a whole step and a half step, 1, 3, 4, half step and whole step, 1, 2, 4, double, double, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, stretch 1, 2, 4. Okay, now, when we go to Dorian, what ends up happening is basically, we're starting off with basically the 1, 3, 4 that was right there is now here. And that's the first of the doubles. That is to say, major went like this, started with a double. That spot is really the beginning of the Dorian mode. Now, even though I'm not really thinking of that as, when I go to play G Dorian as F major, because I don't want to think about it like that. I want to think about it like about G Dorian, because the tonality is Now, here's the deal. What I did right there is a classic example of hearing where the double versus the double-double is. I could hear that next note was going to be that half step, and that's where it really gets very potent, because you're going, oh, I know exactly where I am. That basically means you're at the 1, 2, and 3. And that's the 4, the 5, 6, 7, and the 1. Now, what I'm doing there is I am actually utilizing the formula of the major scale to just kind of make sense of where I am. But I'm still paying attention to what my tonal center is, right? So the deal is up. Now there you can hear me walking my way through it. There's a double, which means that this guy is going to be a single double. So if you can hear when you play a double, whether it's going to be a double-double, either moving up to the next spot or moving down, or it's a single double, that unlocks the whole fingerboard, because basically you can start going, okay, I can hear the sequence. And again, we're still hearing the tonal center. Andrew, you're supposed to say a number 2, right? Isn't that the double-double? So in any case, I do love this guitar, and I love all of yours, Andrew, I must admit. All right, so the idea is that we've got this Dorian mode. And that. And then after a while, you start being able to hear what's going to happen on the next string, which is where it really starts to get exciting. Now, this is an interesting thing. Is like, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm in this particular mode, so I'm going to play this particular fingering because this is the next adjacent mode, up or down. What's happening is, by getting used to right, so the moral of that story is it's playing the neck by ear, which is kind of the whole dealio, right? So this is how you unlock that. So let me head back to here. I'm going to bring the volume down. And if this level is too quiet, give me a holler and let me know. So the deal is that the Dorian mode, the double is right there. Now when we switch to G Phrygian, the double is right here. And what's great about that is it spells out the whole flipping fingering for you. Because if that's the double, the other one's just a single double. That gets us a Lydian. So really, so the Lydian mode starts with a double, which means the next double is a single. Getting kind of cool. And then mixed Lydian starts kind of halfway in the middle of the double. So that is to say, the last spot before you get to the octave is the double, the first side of the double, and the beginning spot is the upper side of the double. Upper side of the double. Single double. Lower side of the double. Octave. Flipping, unlocking the fingerboard. Unreal. All right. Thanks, James. All right. I'll bring it up a little bit there just to make sure that this bit is... just trying not to peek out the input there and just kind of get the balance between us. All right. Now, as we get to minor, we're going to have the single double, and then at the top, we're going to have the double before we get to the octave. Locrian starts with the just below the single double. We're back to major. And that is kind of the whole dealio there. And that's what makes it incredibly cool. All right, modal orgasm. I love it. Thanks, guys. I still got a shake and fry, so I was trying to be good. There we go. All right. Good. Let me just check in and see if there's any other. Andrew joined twice. Hey, notice the sun is nearly blood red from the smoke sky. Yeah. Ooh, you had to move your mother-in-law, 91. I hope that's going to work out okay, Steve. Always a pleasure. Brian Jones, hello, my friend. Yeah, it's crazy up there, Steve. All right. Gary, great to see you. All right. Good. All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Oh, hey, is that Paul in Tennessee, or is that a different Paul 28? No, different Paul, because that J. Paul is not 28. Okay, so we're going to stop there for a minute and just hit the handbrake and just kind of go, that approach just really allows you to kind of begin to look at the linear fingerboard in a very modal way. And that was kind of one of the big things that I wanted to unpack, was kind of like, how do you actually just kind of endeavor to do this? Because, you know, of all the things that you can teach people on the guitar, you can teach them technique, you can teach them the patterns, but how do you teach them to hear this stuff? So again, by taking that major scale on the top string there, and then moving it down to the next string. All right, now, Windsor, Ontario. Awesome, awesome. Hi. I love my Canadian north of the border brothers. Canadians are chill. I love that. Americans are, just, yeah. We're Americans. What can I say? But, there's something cool about being wound tight. So, okay. All right. So who's got a question here? And yes, that whole E sharp thing and F sharp major is a little strange, but at the same time, it's good to kind of be able to map that stuff out. All right. I'm going to let's see here. I saw something there. Thanks, Patrick Phelps. All right, now let's see. I'm going to go back to that thing and I'm going to kind of hang out on that little tonality with the volume up now. And I'm going to kind of noodle around, and you'll hear me outlining that on an individual string. So again, that was basically going between G major and G Dorian. All right, there what I did once I kind of found my way there was I could hear that I was at a double-double, so I just shifted the double-double because of the way the mode change is happening. And again, if I'm playing G major and it switches to G Dorian, effectively, if you look at the way the relative major scale is set up, it's just moving down a whole step. So one of the tricks you can do is go, oh, I can just take whatever idea that I've got and move it down a whole step. So I did something around the double-double that was like... and just slid it around. So wherever you kind of, once you recognize where you are, you can just grab a hold of that and just slide it. And so for an example of maybe something that's a little bit more straightforward, matter of fact, I knew I was going to cover this a little bit tonight. So, all right, who wants, and somebody's got to ask for it. I'm not going to give it without a little bit of asking. Oh, wait. Okay, oh, wait, hang on a second. I got a question here. Hang on a second. Oh, awesome. Good to see you again, Paul. I take it one of the names is Paul, first, last, or something in between. All right, Brett, love it. Brett, you're getting quite an education, and I love that. So do I approach chord theory from a scale or as a separate theoretical idea? That's a great question. So the very, 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 very simple way of saying that is if I look at the 7 notes of the major scale, and I just go, I'm going to take the first, third, and fifth. That's kind of the introduction to all things chordal. And I then kind of go, all right, the major scale's got 7 tones, so if I take the first, third, and fifth notes of the major scale started off of its first note, then I kind of do the same thing for the major scale started off of its second note. And the same thing for the major scale started off of its third note. I'm basically taking the 1, 3, 5, and then the 1 flat 3 5 of the Dorian mode, and the 1 flat 3 5 of the Phrygian, and 1 3 5 of the Lydian, 1 3 5 of the mixed Lydian, 1 flat 3 5 of the minor, and 1 flat 3 flat 5 of the Locrian as compared to the major scale. And that's where chords come from. It's kind of like the chord stork. or something like that. But the neat thing about that, oh, I never went back to. Which was kind of this whole idea of taking, because chords and arpeggios are the same thing. Chords are simply notes of a scale played at the same time. So for any one of the 7 notes of the major scale, those are the 7 notes of the G major scale, and then I hit the octave. If I take the 3rd note of each mode, and instead of playing it in the same octave, I move it up an octave. Now I can begin to think about the harmony that's basically happening. And if I take the first 5 notes and only play the 1st and 5th, and I combine that with we end up with and to answer your question, I'm thinking it very much as I'm just taking the, starting off with, in this case, the triads from each of the modes. And what's neat is you start to voice them in this particular case. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. This is voiced 1, 5, 3. 1, 5, flat 3, 1, 5, flat 3 as compared to the major scale. Now here's the next piece. Here's a 6 chord, 5 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord. And now what we're doing is we're just adding the different notes. So I like to think of chords as basically pieces of a scale played at the same time. That's the moral of the story. So that's a great question. Love that. Love that, love that, love that. And let's see. All right. Diego, what's going on, my man? How are you doing? Good to see you. Wayo, sick bro, thanks so much. Jeff Brewer, hello. James McDowell, again, thanks so much. Paul Richard, nice to see you, my man. Hey, hey, hey. All right, so with all that kind of stuff happening, if you're wanting to get your legato up and running, I have the exercise that you will love me or hate me for. That will make your hand fall off. So basically, what we're basically doing is kind of adding a note each time you kind of wander through all of that business. So we're on the 6th string. Then we're adding the 5th string. Adding the 4th string. 3rd string. 2nd string. 1st string. We basically play half a cycle. And now we're going from the top note down. And start taking away strings off the bottom. And then we start adding them back on. And then we play half a cycle. And we play cross. we start taking them away from the top. So on and so forth. And I promise you that, hey, what's going on? Todd, how are you, man? Good to see you. Mark, what's happening? And now do it with upstrokes only, right? We got the ska version of that. So that little exercise right there, if that doesn't, hey, if that exercise doesn't want to kind of help you get your legato happening, hang on just 1 second. Let me answer all the questions that came in here because they're great. They're great. They're great. Todd, again, thanks so much. Okay, let me get to Ivo's question here real quick. Okay, when you say double double, do you mean the whole steps between the three notes? I understand correctly. So by double double, it's a spot where there's two double whole steps. I should say two. Yeah. So that is to say, this is, if you think about the 1, hold a 2, hold a 3, half to 4, hold a 5, hold a 6, hold a 7, half to 1. The only spot where you've got kind of a double set of doubles is between basically the 4, 5, and 6 and the 5, 6, and 7. And then as you kind of start moving to the next mode, it happens between the flat 3, 4, and 5 and the 4, 5, and 6 of the Dorian mode. So that kind of where it's there's a double, that is to say we've got two sets of adjacent whole steps right there, and then right there and there. That's the double. And what's neat about that is it really unlocks the neck. The other thing is that there's an implication, awesome, that kind of anytime you're playing, a double, you're like, am I playing a single double or a double double? What's neat about that is you begin to kind of, if we're playing the major scale, for example. Is really, in my opinion, the key, with great pleasure, Ivo. Thank you. That kind of hearing, oh, am I at a single double or a double? It harmonically unlocks the sound of the major scale underneath your fingertips. And that, because literally you're hearing, is the next note up or down? If I'm playing a double, that is to say two adjacent whole steps, right? That's stretch 1, 2, 4, Delio. As in this guy, right? As I'm in Dorian, all those guys. The idea is it a half step or a whole step to my next note, and listening for that. And what's neat about that is it's just a big giant reveal. And then again, as you're kind of learning to just see where that falls as you're playing these scales in a linear sense, it's also teaching your say for example, I'm going to play Phrygian. Basically, the flat 2, flat 3, 4, the flat 3, 4, and 5 are the double that exist at the beginning of the Phrygian mode. So once you kind of get used to kind of seeing that happen there, the other thing that it does is it takes the guesswork out of like, holy snap, what is that fingering going to be? That is to say, if you see you're starting with a whole step and a half step, and then we got our double, that means it's going to be followed by, that is to say the upper double of the double is going to be followed by a whole step, half step, and that's going to be followed by a half step, whole step, and then a single double, and then another whole step, half step. It has to be that if it's playing the major scale or one of its relative modes. So what's great about that is it totally unlocks it. If I play Lydian, right there, we got two. We had the double here, whole step, half step, whole step, double, whole step, half step. It totally unlocks the whole thing. Louis, I am doing very well. Welcome aboard. What's up? We are modalizing like maniacs, and I love it. Eric Sands, what's my rig? I'm playing through a helix. I'm playing through a helix, but sooner than later, I'm waiting for my positive grid intelligent Delio to show up because my buddy Eric Sands is gonna rub the magic code into the internet, and one of those intelligent AI altered intelligence guitar rigs from Positive Grid is going to appear into my future. I can see it. So I'm playing through Helix Marshall Plexi amp models with a dual delay, kind of it's my standard dotted eighth and quarter note. I know a guy too, but this kind of the funny thing is no matter what I plug into, I kind of always kind of dial up the same sound, don't we all, right? But it's kind of this is a funny Mark Yamamoto's comment. Do it with all upstrokes. And the why how you doing? All right. So the idea is that yes, Eric, I know a guy. I am positively waiting for that to cross my grid. I hope you're doing great, my friend. All right, good. So that legato exercise is the dealio. Let's see. Let me make sure. So all right, that guitar is sick. I love it. Thanks. Hey, Louis, if you missed it, the thing that I was going over a minute ago was this exercise, which is great for legato. And the idea is basically you're taking the 3 upper string modes and you're starting off with 1 string and then you're adding the next successive string. Then once you get all the way to the high E string and come back, then you basically go half the rotation and then you go from the high E string down and then you start taking strings away. Mike's back. Okay, so in any case, that was kind of the adding and taking away. All right, that was my technical support there. So the idea is that you take that through each of the different modes, and that will give you a workout in any case. So, Louis, what I was saying there is basically you go across, you start off with just 6 string, and then you add a string. Once you get to the high E string and back, then you just play halfway across. Then you start from the high E string and go all the way across and back, and then you start taking them away off the bottom. Then you kind of end up with just kind of going like this on the high E string, and then you start adding them back in. And then from there, without a gap, although I just put one there, you play just that half a sequence, because now we're going to play from the bottom to the top. And start taking them away, and then you move up to the next mode. Mike is back on. All right, sorry about that. Thanks for the heads up there, appreciate it. But that exercise will give you some new legs for your fingertips. I can assure you this. What's going on, Chris Barkley? How you doing, my man? Hey, good to see you. Okay, can't hear me talk. Mike is off. All right, Mike's back on. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the heads up for that. All right, Brett, I had a jazz guy trying to get crazy in theory with chords, a separate theoretical idea, but I think he was trying to be a talking head. Thanks for breaking it down. With great pleasure. So, jazz is its own language. So, the generally speaking, I look at music in a very kind of diatonic modal kind of way. That's just kind of where I have a tendency to live, and that for me is just kind of my world. But what it does is, it gives me and hopefully the people that want to hang out with me an opportunity to kind of see things through this kind of window through which just about all the music that we hear around us is created, and I think that's a huge help. So yeah. All right. So look, I'm gonna bring the volume back up a little bit, and I'm gonna turn on this. I'm gonna bring up the track again. I'm gonna see if something jumps out. And again, for those of you that weren't here before, the idea was that this chord progression is basically switching between basically F sharp minors slash minor pentatonic, then stays in F sharp minor when it goes to basically the D chord, goes into F sharp Dorian when I basically go to this. It's really kind of like a B major in first inversion, but it's kind of a D sharp in the bass, and basically kind of what I'm thinking is this: is I'm kind of using that kind of minor sixth deal that I should say that guy is basically, you can actually really hear it when you're playing back to back, is that basically it's basically like a B major in first inversion and then an A major in first inversion. But what I'm really hearing it as is a 1, flat 6, natural 6, flat 6, 5, and I'm hearing those as kind of the determining modal notes. So that's kind of what that is. And let's see what happens as I kind of start kind of taking what we've been talking about. And again, one of the interesting things about the way we've kind of approached tonight is it has all happened long after I recorded this song. So it's always interesting coming back to a piece of music and looking at it in a very different way, which is kind of fun. All right, let's see what happens here. Let's try and break the internet again, or at least not have Pro Tools crash. Okay, so there, the idea, just kind of getting through those things. Now, one of the things that I deathly hate doing is kind of starting cycling through like, oh, I'm starting to repeat myself. So one of the things that I would suggest doing is you're kind of working on this type of stuff is kind of going, okay, at what point am I starting to repeat some concept that I played before? And so one of the things that then I did was like, all right, well, I'm going to purposely start somewhere else on the neck, and I kind of did something. And then I kind of found a different thing happening, and then I started doing, all right, well, if I can kind of hear where the notes are on one string, let me try and do it on a pair of strings, right? One of the other things that begins to happen is that if you're not mindful, I find myself where the change happens here, because it happens basically at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4 third measure there, I find myself wanting to go to the key change in the second measure. So I kind of like I get excited and I kind of build this thing, and I'm like, up, it's another measure later, and it's a thing you just want to be conscious of. So let's see if I can walk my way through that. So that is, say, I kept playing, change, right? So. So if you can kind of wait until the change comes to you, it's like, oh, I'm going to nail that change. Sometimes you just got to kind of fight that instinct, just like, let it come to you. All right, let's see if there are any. Greg Leong, how you doing, my man? Great to see you. Bobby Valdez, what string gauge do I use? I am absolutely on this guitar a 9's sort of a dealio. Why? Great question. These guitars, in my opinion, were kind of designed at standard tuning with a kind of 9 through 42 in mind. So with that in mind, it just kind of seems to be one, where they come from the factory, and two, where they just kind of sit. Next week, actually, I should be mentioning this. Alan Abbasi and Stan Cody from Fender are going to be here. We're going to be starting at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So we're going to be playing through a bunch of Fender gear. And one of the guitars that we're going to be playing through is this lovely American original 60s Stratocaster in, I think they call it shell pink, and it's a gorgeous guitar. But that guitar, I kind of started playing it this morning. I was like, you know what? You need to be in E flat. And so, honestly, most instruments will actually speak to you kind of going, if they need a different string gauge, for example, SGs, I think, generally do a little bit better with 10s. Les Pauls, it depends on the guitar. Les Pauls, because it's a slightly shorter scale, you can get away with, a lighter string that sometimes than you would under other circumstances. But an SG is a slightly lighter touch, and I think it does a little bit better in terms of intonation with 10s. But that shell pink Strat, I'll be playing it, and there'll probably be a little bit of footage that I'll fly in. But that is an amazing sounding guitar. But I found that, like, you know what? It's a funny thing. An instrument will start to reveal itself to you, right? Like, this guitar is very clear about who it is. Its voice is that for me. That's how I play it. Awesome, thanks, Chris. That it just like it goes, this is what I do, at least in my hand. So I'm like, it's great. So it's just like, it's so clearly that. And the neat thing is that many of the Strats that I play, not all, I'll tune down a half step because it's just that way. There was a guitar. It's here. I don't play it as much because some guitars, if you spend too much time playing them, you just start to like it always go and you start playing the same things. And I try, and again, tonight's biggest goal has been to unrut people, just kind of get them kind of used to thinking about things differently. Thanks for whoever that was, appreciate it. A little kind of thumbs up and hearts. I love that stuff. Thank you. So the idea is that each guitar has got its voice, and some Strats they just they're cool with nines in standard tuning. Some guitars at Strats you put a tens on them, even at standard tuning it's the right thing. But generally I find that once you start find a guitar that really wants to have tens on it, with the Strat it wants to be at E flat, and it just kind of lives there. So that guitar, as I kind of just brought it down a half step, I'm like, ooh, like there's a slinkiness, although this is not a Strat in the classic sense, there's a slinkiness about this guitar. Especially when I add the that it's just kind of like this kind of cat thing where it kind of does this little crawl, but you've got to get the string gauge right and the tension from the right key correct for it as well, right? And so then it all kind of gets blissful and beautiful, which is really kind of cool. It's just, Mel Ruddy, Brenton, how are you, man? I've got 8-year music class watching. Oh, excellent. Hey, hello, music class. What's going on? You have the coolest music teacher in the world. Brenton is awesome. Good on you. How cool is that? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Boy, we get to have so much fun here. E flat is great because of the lower tension. You know what? I think, give me a second. Gosh darn it, I'm going to go off camera here. I got to grab that guitar. Hang on a second. Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll be right back. See if I can do it without breaking anything. Oh, come here, Shell Pink. Oh. All right, here we go. Woohoo! So, I love this guitar. All right, yes, good, the mic's on. So the deal is, we're going to be going through a bunch of Fender gear, and the great part is we're going to have Alan Abbasi, who's been with Fender forever, as has Stan Cody, both of whom are just amazing people, and just the heart of what they're doing at Fender is just awesome. So this lovely instrument, let me shut up and bring the volume up. I didn't say it was in tune. I knew I was taking a chance when I did that dive there. So what's great about this guitar is it's certainly very friendly for some subtle tremoloing, but in terms of the dive bomb thing there, it was not... I was not digging that. Hang on a second. Let's see. Oh, yeah. All right. So here's the other thing about Strats, just while we're on the subject. Generally, I've discovered that Strats, when you start using the tremolo, have a thing where the high E string, and just only the high E string, wants to go about a half step sharp. Yeah, that is some E flat goodness. Thanks so much, Bobby. And so what you do is you basically take that high E string, about the same amount that is going sharp, and you tune it flat. And what ends up happening is the guitar, you kind of go back through and you cycle through once or twice. And then the guitar will pull itself into tune around that high E string. It's a funny thing. but it works really well. And I don't know why the high E string. Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm going to shut up and play a little bit without any rad over-the-top dive bomb. What a guitar! Holy cow! Thanks for that, whoever that was. Right, Mark was saying that sometimes it's the third string. For whatever reason, I'm having it with the high E string. But yeah, whether it's the third string, just tune that puppy however much it's going sharp. Just tune it flat, and then just go through. First of all, tune all the other strings, and then you're going to go back. You're going to come back to it. It's going to be sharp. Tune that sucker flat by that same amount. Then go through and tune the strings. And usually what happens is it just pulls itself into tune. And it just kind of corrects itself. I don't quite know why or how, but it just does it. It's kind of strat magic. And we don't question these things. We just do. Class says awesome. Thank you so much, Class. Awesome to you. Really, seriously. Brenton's a dear friend, and you were so lucky to have him as a teacher. I wish I had him as a teacher. Holy cow. Okay. Broken Famous Productions. How do I loosen up my Floyd? Bring it over here. No. So, great question. The magic is back here. And this guy, I always take the back plate off of my instruments. Did I do that over here? This one, you can actually get to it back here. So, my guess would be the holes in the back plate here, although it's not Velcroed a la Thomas would do, my guess is that Thomas Nordegg had something to do with the fact that you can get to not only the screws in the back here, but the idea is that there are two screws that go into the body and a claw that attaches to them. And so what you want to do is you want to loosen up those screws a little bit from the body. And so that is to say they're going like that, and what that does is it increases the tension on the bridge, and usually just pulling them back a little bit and then retuning the guitar, which will be a little bit of give and take, will chill them out a little bit. It also may be that you've got 5 springs in there. Most of the time I am a 3-spring kind of guy. Generally And so the thing is that one of the things you can do to kind of fine tune the tension is, oh, this is kind of a nice left turn. Very happy about this. One of the things you can do is you can splay the springs like this diagonally. So let's say you've got, with your average bridge is basically, so imagine this finger was longer and went like that. You've got 5 slots where the spring will attach. So basically there's the claw here. Gosh, that looks really, there's the claw, and this, I'm sorry, this is the worst example of this, but this is the claw that's kind of screwed into the body here, and the spring's attached to that. And then the other end of the springs kind of attaches to the back of the bridge. And so usually there are 5 slots where the springs can go side by side. It's always possible you've got all 5 springs back there, which means it's kind of like, lifting heavy weights. The idea is that sometimes just popping 2 springs out there will give you kind of the spring number 1, number 3, and number 5 going straight. But sometimes what you want to do is you want to offset. So imagine you got slot 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What you do is you take the part of the spring that connects to the claw, and instead of going from basically 1 to 1, you bring it down from 2 to 1 and run it at a diagonal. And what that does is, by increasing the amount of space that spring goes to, it brings the tension up a little bit. So that is to say, you're kind of going from spot number 2 to spot number 1, spot number 3 to number 3, and spot number 4 to number 5 over there. And it kind of gives you this kind of splayed sort of vibe as you're going in the back of the guitar. And that is most of the time actually how I have a tendency to set up my strats. Now there's one other dealio about this, is that making the decision most of the time, and as your Floyd will begin to wear out, and as the knife edges on the Ibanez's wear out, they start to sit at 2 spots. That is to say, when you press the bar down and you tune, or you pull the bar up and you tune, they're going to start to be slightly different spots. And it's just kind of the way these things are. So you choose which one it's going to be, the down or the up. Generally speaking, on strats, in the past I used the upward spot, and the reason that that's an advantage is after you do kind of a any kind of dippy bar work, you just give the bar a gentle tug up, and if the guitar is set up reasonably well, you can get away with bending, and the guitar will stay in tune. Now, that said, one of the things about the upward spot is it means the guitar sits a little bit higher. It's a little bit higher, and when you bend, sometimes it'll go back in the lower spot, and it'll go flat basically. So that is to say, if you pull up on the bar and you tune it such as in the upward position of the bar, and then you bend, it can pull it into the lower position. But it depends on how the guitar is set up, which is why kind of more often than not these days I seem to be leaning towards pushing the bar down, stretching the strings, and tuning it that way. The disadvantage is that, especially after some bar work, is you don't have the ability to pull up on the bar to kind of give the guitar a quick little tweak in the middle of a song. So that is to say, when you do a bunch of bar work, what happens is the string starts flopping around, and every so often it'll get caught on the nut. So it can potentially, if the string kind of flops up and kind of a little bit gets caught on the other side of the nut, it's basically the equivalent of pulling the guitar a little bit sharp, which means that string or multiple strings are going to be out of tune, and they're going to have gone sharp without the ability to kind of pull the bar up to pull the guitar into tune. So got 3 in the triangle. Okay, yeah. Then pull the claw back a little bit, and that will hopefully chill it out. And then it's kind of this fine balance between, and just loosen up. And here's the other thing: is I would write down, because I've always, remember how many turns got. By the time you're like, half a turn, a quarter tune, how many did I? Just write down 1/4 turn on the claw, 1/4 turn on the other claw, upper, lower, and write it down, and then kind of tune the guitar and see how it sits. And it usually takes a little bit of wrangling to kind of get it to sit at the sweet spot. But it's a great question. Great question. The roller nut on the Strat. So, okay, so that's a really interesting, great point, Sir Richard Doyle. You know, it's a funny thing because there's a lot of noise. I recently, let's see if I can say this in a way. Okay, Kenny Wayne Shepherd is a brilliant guitar player, and I recently interviewed him. And and he is big on kind of the bone style nut. He uses Graphtec saddles and some sort of bone-esque nut. But the funny thing is that we spend very little time playing open strings on the Strat, right? The only time I'm kind of playing open strings on the Strat is kind of when I'm down here doing that little Jimmy thing, right? We don't spend a lot of time doing, cowboy chords on the Strat most of the time, right? So the thing is, for the Strat purist, of which, I am a little bit. The idea is one, if you can get the nut cut well, and Fender's doing a really great job these days. I mean, this guitar, kind of what I did with the Floggy there. And I have, I literally tuned it to E flat this morning. I mean, it's kind of a miracle that it's, so here's, it'll be remotely close. And if, so the thing is, literally, I tuned this thing down a half step this morning. So it's not actually, the fact that it's not actually any angrier at me than it is now. And the high E string is sharp and the low E string was flat. So I'm going to tune the high E string about the same amount flat that it was sharp. And my guess is by the time I get to the high E string, that's the other thing that will happen, is eventually it gets to a point where it might actually be flat. So, that's pretty darn good considering I tuned it down a half step this morning. No sound. Uh-oh. All right. All right, I destroyed it. Sound is back. Sorry about that. I wonder what happened there. Was it guitar or was it vocals that were out? In any case, let me know just so I know what it was. And if it was guitar, that's an interesting thing because that shouldn't have that was an internet thing. If it was vocals, that was a Doug thing. So the thing about the sound, when you go to do the kind of both. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks for letting me know that. Then we can blame that on Facebook. The thing about this dealio, I might have been muted and was tuning there for a second. But you would have seen that I was tuning. Is that the classic nut sound, it's one of the complaints that people had about Floyd Rose when they first came out. They didn't like the sound of them. I actually really liked the metallic sound of it. I was never a big fan of a brass nut on a Strat. So kind of the classic sound for the snobby purists. The roller thing, to tell you the truth, I have never owned a Strat with a roller nut. So that said, I am completely unqualified to have an opinion other than that of a snooty purist going, the bone, because I actually do have an Yngwie Malmsteen Strat, and that's got a brass nut. That guitar sounds flipping great with a brass nut. Traditionally, I didn't like the sound with a brass nut on a Strat. It just was a little too brassy, but on that Yngwie Strat, it sounds great. So, so unfortunately, I am completely unqualified to comment about that, other than to say that they put it on there so the flipping thing would stay in tune. That's a win as far as I'm concerned. Holy cow. We love that. Win-win, speaking of that. Awesome. Okay. Hold on. Broken Famous Productions. You tweaked my Jackson a few years ago, but I forgot. Huh. All right, Broken Famous Production. I'm at a little bit of a loss as to which famous person that I've known you are, you is, and so on and so forth. All right, good. All right, it does stay in tune. Now, and stays in tune or bone nut purist. Here's the thing: is like we want a guitar that's gonna allow us to do the things that we want to do. I love doing the kind of Becky, that rocking vibrato. And chances are, if this were my guitar, I would have it set up so I could pull it into tune and do it like that. But and I know I cut off the last of that. Sorry. I digress. The interesting thing that's happening here with this instrument is now that I think it is kind of in its right register, if you will, in E flat, it's starting to open up. And I've played this guitar some, but like this guitar needs about a week of just being played. And the interesting thing about these guitars is, and I first of all, I love pretty much all guitars. I'm not a snoot. And so like I'm kind of like, they're all cool and they're all different, and that's what I love about them. But the Strat has a place that's in my heart that's very, very special. I grew up listening to Jeff Beck. I grew up listening to Neil Schon playing things in Journey that were very clearly done on a Strat. So the point being, all right. So next week at 4 o'clock Pacific instead of 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We're going to have the guys from Fender. Alan Abbasi, who did the first noiseless pickups for Fender, has designed a bazillion things for them. And then Stan Cody, who is just a genius, did the redesign on the Hot Rod Deluxe 4 and did the high-power twin with Joe Bonamassa and did all their pedals and did the Lincoln Brewster Strat. And it's just kind of a genius and a lovely guy and a multi-instrumentalist. I saw a little love coming up there. So they're going to be kind of talking about kind of all things Fender. The other thing that's cool that's hiding in the background that you can't quite see is the 64 Princeton Reverb reissue. And this guitar into that, I spent a couple hours this morning kind of going, oh, It's a lovely, lovely, lovely sound, and I just didn't have time to kind of get it wired up for tonight, and that'll be next week. But there are a bunch of different guitars that are here, and I'll probably spend a little time doing some bass as well. But it'll be great to hear from those guys there. I've had the opportunity to get to know those guys a bunch, and they are, as long as we're on the subject, oh, they're dropping like flies. When you have a guitar like, a Fender, it's easy to think of it as some kind of nameless, faceless brand where, they just kind of this conveyor belt and they go, Fender on the headstock, Fender on the headstock. It's like a Ford. I hope I didn't insult anybody who's got a Ford, but, you kind of begin to think about it's conveyor belt. That's so not who these guys are, and they have such a level of love for what they do and love for the brand. It's kind of like, if you will, if you and I went to work for Fender, we'd be like, oh, this is awesome, right? Just in the same way that, I have this great relationship with Ibanez that goes back to like 1997. I've been with them for a very, very long time. So I have a love for those instruments. They are a part of me, right? My first guitar with a tremolo was a Strat. I marched down to Guitar Center, and, I marched out with this guitar. I've still got it. Not this guitar, but I've still got that Strat. That guitar wants to be tuned at A440 with 9s. That's all it wants to be. That's all it ever wanted to be. And that guitar, I might even pull that out next week. That'd be kind of fun. It's this strange mauve kind of taupe. Joe hated the color of that guitar. I brought it. He's like, that's ugly. I love Joe. It was so funny. I wasn't crushed, but he was just like, that's ugly. And I actually really love it. And it's kind of a strange color. You don't see many of them. So it's kind of rare. And you'll actually see a couple little spots where I put my little stickers, and of course soiled the finish. You've got little stains in it. And Joe, I remember coming in and had or not stickers, but tape. And I remember coming in. Joe said, "Yeah, I probably would have done that if I was your age too." It was just the thing that was great about taking lessons with Joe was like, his commentary was awesome, and it was never mean spirited, but he's Joe the rock star now. Still the same lovely guy, but Joe the guitar player and guitar teacher in that day and age was he was at a different point in his life. So it was just, we talked about things in a range of things that were, what we liked, what we didn't like about the different players. And when we had differences of opinion, he was fine with my not agreeing with him, which was really cool. Amazing experience. Sorry, I'm going down memory lane here. Sweetwater's GT11s and Wildwood's 10s are fantastic Strats. Sweetwater GT11s. Doug needs to do a little research. Okay, hang on. Wait. I'll try and be there. Oh, great. That'd be great, Chris. I would love to see you. And let's see. 4 o'clock is... Yeah, that's kind of like early morning for you. I think about 9 o'clock, give or take. That'd be great. And I would love to see you. And I'll try and remember to put up some sort of thing where people can post some questions. That would be great. Yes, locking tuners. So yeah, the locking tuner thing. This has got the kind of because it's kind of a 60s dealio. It's a funny thing about the purist, right? In a sense, I know that every piece of hardware on here has a specific sound. It was kind of one of the guys at Fender I had a conversation with, and I was talking about hearing the difference between a 3-ply pickguard and a kind of 1-ply pickguard. And you can hear a difference, if you think about where the pickups are actually nested, the way the pickguard vibrates has a lot to do with kind of the vibration that kind of makes its way back into the pickup. And one of the great things about a Strat, let's see if I can do this without breaking anything. What happens if I do this? I'm either going to love this or regret it. Okay. quite the right sound, but kind of close enough. But the idea, a Strat, you're going to beat the daylights out of these guys. That's part of where, that sound. That thing that happens. There's a lot of transference of energy that happens from the pickguard, especially when you start banging away on this thing. That it matters. It matters a lot. Matters a lot. Okay, let's see. Oh, new comments. All right, what do we got here? Isn't that mint guard just gorgeous, dude? It's just like, ooh, mint guard. It's like totally just like. I'm totally with you. I'm just like, first of all, I remember when I saw this guitar, like I don't know how it happened, but the Fender folks have been. I get a chance to review. I'm as the editorial director of Worship Musician magazine. The Fender folks and none of the Worship guys buy a bunch of guitars, and they love Fenders. So it's given me the privilege of kind of having access to these guitars. And I remember when I saw this guitar in kind of the photos, I was like, can you send that for review? Because I was like, I mean, it's so funny. My wife was like, I don't see it. And I'm just like, it's one of the most gorgeous guitars I've ever played. I will lament this instrument, but it's about a week away from when I'm going to have to return it, and it's about a week away from really kind of being opened up. It's just a great sounding instrument. But the thing about these is that they do open up, and they do open up to your touch. And, it's an interesting thing. I remember I was in Canada, and somebody had like this 50s something Strat. And I remember going up and playing it up at the top of the neck and going, oh, this guitar's never been played up here. It's a funny thing. Each of the different registers, the wood loosens up. You can feel it loosening up, and you can feel the guitar starting to come to life. Not that it's dead in classically, but you can really begin to feel the wood kind of going, oh, I'm going to be that. And it's kind of like a fine wine. Once you pull the cork, it takes a little bit of time for really to kind of grow into its own. So here's the other thing that you might want to keep in mind. The neck shape, it's interesting. This neck is a nice wide, it's a big C. It's kind of I forget what they call the C, not a modern C. But it's almost got this heel right here. Not totally. I like to call them kind of a D, where there's a little ridge right there that comes out. It's not a classic ridge, but it, as opposed to being rounded like this, it kind of has almost like a ridge there. And for those instruments, my thumb, I have a hard time getting it around the top of the neck for the Jimmy chords. So this guitar, I'm able to do that, but I find that my ability to get between my thumb here and the third finger there, I just have to be a little bit mindful. So it's just interesting, the difference between kind of a vintage neck shape, and this is part of the deal with this, is you just kind of you learn to embrace the guitar for who the guitar is. But what the other interesting thing about this is, because I think it is associated with the neck, one of my favorite Strat keys is actually C sharp minor. I will exemplify. Not bad. untuned it now, but the thing about this guitar, and it does stay in tune, by the way. I've been banging away on this puppy. This guitar actually likes to sit at B minor, which was kind of one of the interesting things. Is that there's that high E string thing again. Just tune it the same amount flat, and it'll pull itself into tune. So the deal, and I love the word deal. It's kind of become part of my go-to phraseology. I don't know why. Dealio. But this guitar likes to sit in B minor. So on and so forth. So on and so forth. Luis Armenteros. ¿Cómo está? Presuming you speak Spanish. In any case, hey, welcome. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Steve Embry. So funny you started sounding so JB, and then you're sounding so JB. You're my man. I love you, baby boy. Baby boy. I love you too, Steve Embry. That was so nice running into you after all those years at a Jeff Beck concert. But you didn't recognize me when you saw me at the Drakes, but you weren't expecting to see me in Sacramento. That's so cool. Gosh, this is fun. All right. During class, Berkeley. Oh, Mike Mitchell. Hey, what's going on, my man? Yeah. The Gia guy. How's that for memory? Awesome. And hair. Love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think at 8:31, the Dougster is about ready to get some food. Some dinner. You have been absolutely amazing. It has been so much fun. Michael Sweeps Materna, silky smooth neck work. Oh, thank you so much. That is very kind and very lovely. Much appreciated. Bobby Valdez, Doug, I fear you could make the hanger wire on a broomstick sound good. Very kind. You know, the great thing is we're on the neat thing about these shows is we're doing this together, and that's kind of, you know, Sweetwater's goes to 11. Oh, interesting. GT 11's got it. So the thing is that, you know, we get a chance to unpack some of these things, and this kind of this linear mode thing, I think will serve a lot of people because, you know, it's elusive, right? You know, and I think there's not as much talk about it as I wish there were. So in any case, I'm just wishing everybody here a heartfelt thank you for hanging out. This has been a lot of fun, and you know, you guys are just great. Next week, 4 p.m. Pacific, we're gonna have the Fender guys here, and we're gonna be talking about Strats and Tom Morello Soul Power guitars and the 70th anniversary broadcaster, and more. So it's going to be awesome. Can't wait. And thank you so much for hanging in. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Cheers, and make it a great one, and stay safe. And if you're in Northern California here,